Today we're gonna cover how Arnold trained his upper body, some of his favorite exercises and most effective training techniques that he used over the years to build his chest, his back, his shoulders and his abs. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Bend over rowing with a barbell and the T-bar rowing. I mean, any kind of a rowing exercise that gives you the thickness. Those are the exercises I always rely to, again, from the beginning to the end.
So he did different kinds of rows to target different parts of the back. When you see him doing those narrow grip rows, he's working on getting the back width because that's training mainly his lats. When he's using the wider grip, he's getting a bit more of the upper back thickness. And you can learn a lot by carefully watching what Arnold is doing. Notice how he's always protracting his shoulders and how he's leaning his torso forward as he's going towards the bottom of the movement. This is the only way to get that full stretch and train your back through the full range of motion.
All exercises that you do with your own body weight are great. If it is sit-ups, if it is leg raises, if it is dips, if it is chin-ups, all of those things are terrific. So I'm a big believer in that. I think chin-ups, when you weigh 240 pounds, you ought to have the strength of a 240-pound guy, right? And if you weigh 180 like Franco, of course he did chin-ups easier, but he was pound for pound stronger than me. Yeah. So that's why it was easier for him. He put around his waist sometimes 40 pounds, a 45-pound plate, and he did chin-ups like nothing. You know, and I put on around my waist 20 pounds, and I was struggling with the 20 pounds. So, but we did it because it was the only way to really open up those wings, the shoulder blades and the lats, and really create the width.
When you're doing chin-ups, you're using supinated grip, so your arm is passing very close to your body. That's why you can engage your lats and develop that wide appearance of your back. But if you want to work on your thickness, you can simply use a wider grip, and now you're gonna target more of the upper back musculature. That's all that I did for the first couple of years of training, and it was enough for me to develop fairly decent looking back.
There's a lot of bodybuilders that have a kind of a deficiency when it comes to the lower back and to the striation of the lower back, which you only get from stiff-legged deadlifts and from regular deadlift and from bent over rowing and all the stuff without supporting your chest. You got to let your body free and let the lower back hold you up while you're doing the bent over rowing. And we did like off the bench, balancing on the bench up to 315 pounds bent over rowing.
Yes, so whenever you have to invest effort into keeping your spine straight, it means that your spinal erectors are going to be engaged. When you're doing bent over rows, they have to engage to hold your spine. When you're doing cable rows, they will have to work to keep your spine straight. But as soon as you start using chest support, they don't have to work anymore. Now this is not a problem if you have troubles with your lower back. If not, then it's better to perform exercises that will engage these muscles because they give more complete development to your back. This is why Arnold said that they did bent over rows from the bench. This allowed them to go deeper and add a little bit of that spine movement so they can engage more of these muscles.
The three exercises for chest that I have always done, the first year when I started training and the last year when I was training, is bench press, incline press in different levels. So to start low, medium and high, and then flies.
Yeah, so the bench press and incline press are the most basic compound lifts to target your chest from these different angles. The reason why it's so effective is because they have such a high loading capacity. That means that your body can tolerate heavy weights when performing these movements. And then you add flies on top of it to isolate your chest because now your triceps is not involved in the movement. And that's it, you probably don't need anything else.
I mean, to me, the flies was an exercise that gave me the full pectoral muscle development because I went all the way out and almost hitting the ground. And I was a big believer in expanding the chest as much as possible and giving that stretch, because remember, with muscles, the important thing always is to get the stretch and to get the flex. And so to me, that's going all the way out with the dumbbells as far as you can to get that stretch, and then to come in and then to have the dumbbells touch and then flex like you're doing the most muscle on top, and then going out again. Those are the kind of exercises to me that were like, you could not replace them with any machine. This was it.
He was so much ahead of his time for figuring this out back then when they didn't have as much data as we have these days. Now we know that when we focus on stretching the muscle as far as we can, when it's under the load, it creates a huge muscle growth stimulus. And when you're doing flies with the dumbbells, you get the biggest tension exactly at the bottom of the movement when your chest is completely stretched.
Dumbbell presses, barbell presses in the front and in the back. I mean, we always did the rear press behind the neck kind of presses, the military presses, the dumbbell press, which was then is now called the Arnold press, because there was a certain way that was done in order to really create the stretch of the front delta and to come down with the elbow here, not just to here, but to come all the way down and then to rotate out and go up and to get that full flex.
So he was doing a ton of overhead pressing movements. Now, any sort of press is going to engage those front delts as long as the movement is aligned with the part of the muscle fibers in the front delts. So that's the front part of the shoulder. Let's see how he trained the other parts.
And then lateral raises, and especially bent over lateral raises on a bench. That is a 45-degree bench. This is a specialty that I've learned at Vince Gironda's gym. And he had this cutout on the face where you could still breathe, where you don't have to look sideways, but you can breathe. But it is 45 degrees, and to turn your wrist outward like this. And it is a fantastic rear deltoid exercise.
Now, this is a really cool variation Arnold is doing here, because when you position yourself in a way where you're leaning against the side from which you're working, you get the tension even at the bottom of the movement. You can't get that with the regular lateral raises. This is important because the muscle gets the resistance at the lengthened position, which seems to be more effective for muscle growth.
We many times went into the gym just as one day a week, where we went to 110-pound dumbbells and we did dumbbell presses. We did 6 reps. That's all I could do, 6 reps. So we picked up the 100 and did another 6 reps. Put them down and took the 90s and did another 6 reps. And then we picked up the 80s and we went all the way down to the 40s. And barely could do 6 reps then with the 40s. But I can tell you that I did not know where to put my arm, because my deltoids were screaming. They were in pain. Why? Because I shocked the muscle.
That's a crazy drop set and very heavy weights for the overhead press. Most of the guys wouldn't be able to do that simply because the fatigue would probably be too high. Your shoulder joints would probably start hurting with so much training intensity, but if you can somehow handle all of that, then the stimulus of muscle growth would be through the roof.
Regular ab training that we did for abs, which is just leg raises with straight legs, leg raises with bent knees, sit-ups, Roman chair sit-ups, which gives you the 500 reps, which was an absolute necessity and we all believed in, and then crunches.
Yeah, so crunches and hanging leg raises. That's pretty much all you need to build your reps. I'd say with the crunches, you're gonna develop more of the upper abdominal area. With the hanging leg raises, you're gonna get more of these lower reps to pop out. Now, in Arnold's case, you can notice that he only had like a 4-pack. He didn't have a 6-pack. That's all genetics. You can't choose whether you're gonna develop a 4-pack, a 6-pack, or maybe a 10-pack. You can train your reps and make sure that you build muscle in the area, but how it's gonna end up looking depends on your genetics at the end of the day. But as long as you're lean, I'd say it's gonna end up looking pretty good no matter what. Arnold had only a 4-pack and he still ended up being a 7 times Mr. Olympia. That's all I got for this video. If you need any help with getting in shape, you can join my online coaching platform. I will leave the link down in the description, so that's where you can get a workout and diet plan, my coaching and all of the instructions that you need. Thank you guys for watching.